heart of Bannergata.
Adjusting his camera, eyes shining with anticipation, he longed to capture the soul of the forest, its raw beauty and hidden wonders.
Checking their supplies one last time, she wanted to be prepared, but even she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that clung to her like cobwebs.
Trying to lighten the mood with a silly song, his laughter felt forced, lost in the oppressive silence of the woods.
They set up camp near a gurgling stream, the sound of rushing water a counterpoint to the unsettling stillness of the forest. The air grew colder as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows that danced and twisted in the fading light. They huddled around a crackling fire, sharing stories and laughter, trying to ignore the growing feeling that they were not alone. Something watched from the darkness, just beyond the reach of their firelight.
Drawn by the allure of the unknown, he decided to venture deeper into the forest. He wanted to capture the magic of the forest at twilight, the ethereal beauty of the fading light. Assuring his friends he wouldn't be gone long, his camera bag slung over his shoulder, his footsteps light on the forest floor.
He disappeared into the dense undergrowth, his silhouette swallowed by the shadows. As he walked, the sounds of the forest began to fade. The rustling leaves, the chirping insects, the distant calls of birds, all seemed to disappear, replaced by an unnatural silence. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. A shiver ran down Arav's spine, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him, its unseen eyes boring into his back. He turned, his heart pounding in his chest, but he saw nothing but the dense undergrowth and the deepening shadows. Back at the campsite, Ria and Vikram grew increasingly uneasy. The silence of the forest pressed in on them, suffocating them with its intensity. The fire crackled, sending sparks spiraling into the night sky. But it did little to dispel the growing darkness that seemed to emanate from the heart of the forest.
Arav, where are you?
They called out Arav's name, their voices trembling in the stillness, but there was no answer, only the echo of their fear ringing in their ears.
We can't just sit here, we have to find him.
They decided to search for him, their fear overshadowed by their concern for their friend. They followed his trail, their footsteps slow and cautious, their eyes scanning the darkening woods. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees pressing closer, the shadows deepening.
Look, over there, a clearing.
They stumbled upon a clearing, bathed in the pale light of the rising moon. In the center stood an abandoned campsite, its tents ripped and torn, strange symbols carved into the trunks of the surrounding trees. The symbols seemed to pulsate with an evil energy, and a sense of dread washed over them.
This place, it feels wrong, but we can't turn back now. We have to find Arav.
They knew they were in danger, but they couldn't turn back. They had to find Arav. Arav, his heart pounding in his chest, stumbled through the undergrowth, desperate to escape the oppressive silence of the forest. He thought he saw a flicker of movement in the shadows, heard a twig snap under an unseen foot. He quickened his pace, his breath coming in ragged gasps.
Come on, keep it together, just keep moving.
He stumbled and fell, his camera bag spilling open, his equipment scattering across the forest floor. As he gathered his belongings, his fingers brushed against something cold and hard. He froze, his blood turning to ice in his veins. He slowly reached out and picked up the object. It was a human skull, its empty sockets staring up at him accusingly.
Oh no, this can't be happening.
He dropped it with a cry of horror and scrambled to his feet, his mind racing. He had to get out of the forest, had to find his friends. He turned and ran, his fear lending speed to his steps. He didn't stop running until he burst into the clearing where Ria and Vikram were standing, their faces pale with terror.
Arav, thank goodness you're okay.
What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost.
They returned to their campsite, their hearts heavy with dread. Arav, desperate for answers, reviewed the footage from his camera. As he scrolled through the images, his blood ran cold. In the background of one of the photos, a blurry figure stood half hidden in the shadows. It was tall and gaunt, its features obscured by the darkness, but even in the grainy image, there was no mistaking the wide, predatory grin that stretched across its face.
Guys, look at this. What is that?
A deep growl echoed through the forest, sending shivers down their spines. Then silence.